By the way, Doctor, this is Hart. You may not recognize me because it's been, eons, years, decades, centuries. This is really cheesy. I'm gonna cut parts of this out. Okay, for real, it's been so long since I've uploaded a video. Over the next couple days, or at least next couple weeks, I would like to release a series of videos on a variety of subjects, two of which will be book reviews. I've just finished reading Memoirs of a Geisha, and the other one will be The School of Good and Evil. And then the other one, I want to walk us through what a day in my life here is like. So, first book review is Memoirs of a Geisha. I can start off by saying that is one of the better books that I have read in quite a long time. What I want to say about Memoirs of a Geisha is that it is a fantastic book. I love how it opens up and it talks about this woman's childhood and her entire life. It explains the cultural values of the time period. It talks about how she grew up, all the events that happened to her, what was her choice, and it uses the same idea or symbol of water throughout her life. And it tends to run that description pretty consistently all the way through. I love how the author used a lot of different symbols for things, or used a lot of analogies for things that we wouldn't typically think of. Like a woman in kimono looking like a tree. It's not something that I would think of, and if I think of the course of my life, I don't tend to think of my life as a drop of water falling and then finally running down a silk robe to a dragon's teeth. It's not something that I think of. But I love how the author was creative enough to find all these very cultural bases for these terms or these things that he's trying to describe. It keeps it very flavorful, very light, and very interesting. I feel like the cast of characters in this book are very diverse. There's lots of very interesting people with very definable features, and very rarely are they described as good looking. The fact is, it's a book full of very ugly people that it is very specific as to what is hideous about them. Examples can go as far as people's skin or teeth or their habits. I also like how the author approached sexuality. When I tend to think of a geisha, or at least before I read the book I tended to think of a geisha, I thought of a prostitute. And there's such a strong distinction laid out in this book between prostitute and geisha, even if it's not explicitly stated. The fact is, it's such a cultural concept that putting it into words is very, very difficult, and so walking through it as a story is the best way. What the author does is he approaches it very physically. He doesn't approach it from an erotic point of view, but rather, this is what occurred, this is what this felt like, and it's not always the most pleasurable thing to read. It's really uncomfortable sometimes. Like, she talked about how one of the men, she would have preferred to have a grate, like a cheese grater, used on the inside of her leg. That would have been better. That sucks. I'm sure there's more things that I could be saying about this book, but I love how realistically it approached someone's life. And I love the way that things were described and the symbolism used in the story and the wide cast of interesting characters. I don't know if I'll be pursuing any further books like this anytime soon, but we'll have to see about that. So, that's all from me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.